Good morning Philippines! Welcome back to our Morning Brain Enhancer program. Ako pa din ang inyong host for today, Myla Joy Amino, na nagsabing walang mahirap sa taong may pangarap. Kaya't hindi na tayo magpatumpik-tumpik pa at hindi na din ako mag-aalinlangan pa sa pag-introduce ng ating mga gwapo at nagagandahang guest na nagtapos pa sa mga sikat na paralaan sa buong mundo. Sila ay naging matatalinong guro na nag-conduct ng research nila sa University of the Philippines at tutulungan nila tayo upang maliwanagan about sa paggawa o pag-conduct ng research. Kaya sa mga mag-aaral ng SKSU, samahan niyo akong magtuklas ng bagong kaalaman sa research na pinamagatang Using Likert Scales in the Social Sciences ni James T. Crossman and Lee Ostrom. Ang Likert scale ay isa sa mga instrument na ginamit sa pag-conduct ng survey sa research, wherein a Likert scale requires an individual to respond a sense or a series of statements by indicating whether he or she strongly agrees, disagrees, or undecided. So, samahan niyo ako upang makilala natin ang ating mga guests for today. Let's help my welcome for our beautiful, handsome, and talented guest for today is no other than Daniel J. Hunas, 25 years old and graduated at Harvard University and working as a college professor at University of the Philippines. Good morning, sir. Would you tell us what is the short background of your study?
Good day, ma'am. Thank you. So, Likert scales are useful in social sciences and attitude research projects. The general self-efficacy exam is a test used to determine whether factors in educational settings affects participants' learning self-efficacy. This study used a modified Likert type scale with a general self-efficacy exam to measure if a certain teaching method or strategies could have an effect on the self-efficacy of adult learners in college science courses. This study piloted by 20 participants. A Likert scale was composed statements by indicating whether he or she strongly agrees, is undecided, disagree, or strongly disagrees. Its response has a point value, and an individual score is determined by adding all point values of the statements. This type of scale was developed by Rensis Likert, 1931, to describe and develop techniques for the assessment of attitudes. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for that very interesting information, sir. And our next guest is no other than Vince Anthony Hunas, 26 years old and graduated at Maxwell University. What are the specific objectives of your research problem? Would you please share it with us?
Good day, everyone. My name is Vince Anthony Hunas from Maxwell University. A variety of methods are available to assist evaluators in gathering data. One of those methods involves the use of scale. One of the most common scale type is Likert scale. Likert scale is commonly used to measure attitude, knowledge, perception, value, and behavioral change. A Likert type scales involve a series of statements that respondent may choose from in order to rate their response to evaluative question. A Likert scale assumes that the strength and intensity of an attitude is linear. For example, on a continuum from strongly agree to strongly disagree and make the assumption that attitude can be measured.
Thank you very much, sir. And our next guest is no other than Ma'am Robalyn Sabanto, who graduated at De La Salle University and passed as magna cum laude in a course of psychology. In conducting your research, what are the methods such as design, respondents, instruments, sampling technique, and data analysis you have used?
The method used in the study is the General Self-Efficacy Exam, or the GSE, was altered for this study. Participants normally would be asked to respond to 10 efficacy items in the GSE that are based on a 4-point Likert scale. The GSE has demonstrated internal consistency through Cronbach's alpha. The final version of the modified GSE that was used, and this study is a 15-question survey that uses a 5-point Likert scale. Keeping the 10 questions already in the survey, 5 questions were randomly chosen to be worded negatively and to be then placed after every 2 positive questions. A midpoint option was added to the scale so that the scale was as follows: 1 is equals not all true, 2 hardly true, 3 undecided or neutral, 4 is equals to moderately true, and 5 is exactly true. This labeling is consistent with established guidelines for using surveys. To score the instrument, the values of the responses on the negative items were reversed.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And last but not the least, our next guest is no other than Willa Amarilla Alvaro, 24 years old and who graduated at Ateneo de Manila and also a professor of University of the Philippines. So, good morning, ma'am. Would you tell us what is the results and findings of your study?
The items in the modified GSE were reliable and consistent and were able to be used with confidence in a research project that measured the self-efficacy of students in a lecture-based science class and highly interactive class.
The ordering of the questions may have had an effect on the students' ratings,
but the questions were not shuffled to determine if this is where the case.
so we have the process of creating a Likert scale from scratch. First, determine the focus. Likert scales are unidimensional, and it is important to focus on what exactly you are trying to measure. Next, generate a set
Of potential scales items and
then have a set of judges to rate the items. This modified GSE survey is tested on the same kinds of people that were included in the main study with the intention of discovering the anticipated problem with the wording of the questions. Those who completed the survey seem to understand the question and gave useful answer.
Very much for the willingness, ma'am, answer. And in accordance to the statement, I conclude that creating a Likert scale instrument that showed internal reliability was very rewarding. This modified instrument that was developed was a derivative of Schweizer's popular self-efficacy scale, which has yielded high internal consistency. So that is all for today. Maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood sa ating programa ngayong umaga. Kaya't ito pa rin ang inyong host, Mylan Joy Alinimino. Goodbye!
Bisa kita rangkai,